We're joined by head coach Dan Chrisman in his first year at St. Edmunds. Coach, how difficult is it to be a first-year coach at a new school? I know you've done it before, but there's always adjustments that have to be made.
The adjustments that have to be made is the kids being familiar with you, learning your program, learning what's going on, and it takes time. And right now we're struggling with that a little bit. You know, new offense, new defense, things of that nature. So it's a learning experience, and that's the reason why going against Fort Berry and Notre Dame was real good for us. Stiff competition, the Class 2A and 3A schools, and so I think that will benefit us in the long run. And with a non-district schedule that we have, it's just going to get tougher as the year goes on.
Do you feel your coaching philosophy is difficult to learn at first, or can kids pick up on it quickly?
Well, it's pretty easy, but it's real different. For example, the numbering of holes. You know, last year the even numbers were on the left, where this year the even numbers are on the right. So when you have some seniors that's been in a program for 3-4 years, it's new to them.
Is that a disadvantage in a way, Coach? You have 17 of 22 returning starters, yet they're learning a whole new system.
It is, but you would hope that with senior leadership that you can come in and if they do a good job of leading and you do a good job of teaching, then those things will come in time. We have a very tough non-district schedule. We go to Hanson, we go to Marksville, and we play Iota at home. And Marksville's in the top 10 in AAA, and Iota is in the top 10 or 15 in the state in AA. And Hanson has improved tremendously from last year because they have 9 returners on offense. So it's a very tough non-district schedule, and the kids have to come out and perform in this new system. And so there's going to be some breakdowns, and you just have to get better from week to week.
Coach, talk about how this jamboree playing Notre Dame helped prepare you for this upcoming season, because they're a Class 3A school under Lewis Cook. It was a tough test for your kids.
Well, I've been knowing Louis Cook for about 9 years now. He's a good friend, and anytime that you face a team coached by Louis Cook, you know that they're going to be well coached on offense and defense, and so it's a test for your kids. I felt in the jamboree that, you know, we actually played pretty well offensively. We should have scored in the first half. We missed a field goal. We hit a big pass play against them. I believe the score at half was either 7-0 or 14-0, so we were right in there. And with the exception of some missed tackles on Lejeune, I thought we played well on defense. So especially our defensive backs played well. I don't think they completed a pass on us, to be honest with you.
Now, on defense, the first drive, your team looked a little lethargic, and on offense, it was basically 3 and out, but you responded nicely. Like you said, the second drive, your team drove 80 yards, and on defense, you stopped them 3 and out, played very well defensively, especially, as you just mentioned, against the pass. Is the problem right now consistency instead of, let's say, confidence?
Well, early in the year, on offense, the defense is going to be ahead of the offense. So we're just struggling trying to get some rhythm going on offense. And defensively, it's just, you know, Louis is going to come out and show you some things that he hadn't shown the week before, and it's just adjustments by the kids and by the coaches. And a jamboree is used kind of like a script, if you will, to find out what you need to do to improve from week to week, and that's what it's used for. And so I thought it was very beneficial going up against Notre Dame. I believe they're number 9 in the state in AAA, is what the polls came out. So I'm looking forward to it. And we faced Marksville, who's number 10 in AAA. So it's going to be a tough road for us, and so we just got to take it one game at a time, and that starts Friday night with Hanson.
And where does your team stand right now, Coach? What do you think in terms of other teams in the district as opposed to other teams in the district? Do you feel you're at even keel with them, or a little bit behind them, or perhaps ahead of them in some areas?
If we're behind them, it's because of the coaching change, and because of the changing of the guard, if you will. We have like 9 returners coming back on defense, and so I feel pretty comfortable with the defense right now. Offensively, we're working on running the ball. We feel comfortable with throwing the ball with Josh Andrews. So what we try to do, for example, in the jamboree, is we try to really concentrate on running the ball between the tackles, and I thought we did a pretty decent job of running the ball. We rushed for like 98 yards in a half of football. So it was pretty good. And in the district, it's a tough district. Sacred Heart is probably the best team, and you have Basil and Elton right there. And Mahmoud moved down from Double A. And it's just going to be a tough schedule. You're going to have to play each week.
Now, in terms of running the ball, Nicky Miller was your feature running back, I would say, against Notre Dame. You feel your offensive line is performing up to par right now, and maybe it'll make it a little bit easier for Nicky Miller to run for even greater yardage later on in the season?
Well, I call them the twins. Tony and Nicky are exceptional athletes, and I feel the offensive line is getting better. We went to Port Barry, and I felt that they struggled a little bit on their assignments, but against Notre Dame, the linemen did a better job on their assignments. Sometimes we were just outmanned, and that happens when you play those bigger schools. But the kids went to the right place, and like I said, Miller rushed for 90-something yards, so I was real pleased with that.
Now, you're talking about you want your team to run the ball. Is this running the ball to set up the pass or vice versa?
We need to run the ball to keep people from blitzing, doing those type things on us, because we feel real comfortable with our passing game. So if we can establish a run, we can keep the defense off balance. They're going to be guessing. They won't know when to blitz. They won't know when to do that. And the run sets up the play action, and I think that's very important, because late in the season when the weather turns bad, if you cannot run the ball, you're going to be in trouble.
A lot of kids at this level, Coach, tend to be over-aggressive at times, especially at the beginning of the season. They want to get out there. In terms of your passing game, will you throw, let's say, a few screen passes, or because that's a play that really at the high school level I don't see utilized too much, but coaches who do throw the screen pass successfully seem to gain even a greater advantage on offense?
Early in the year, teams tend to want to run reverses and screens, and we have that in our package. Right now, to be honest with you, this week we worked on the reverse, and we worked on screens, a tight end screen, because people tend to just run. They want to get to the football. And today's it's a run up the field, and it's an attack and defense. So you want to have to slow those defenders down by running screens, by running draws, and reverses. And I think that early in the year that will be utilized more and more by teams throughout the area.
And will you use Nicky and Tony Miller, the twins you just talked about, on those types of plays, or more of your speed demons?
Yes, we'll use Tony and Nicky. We run various types of screens. We'll run wide receiver screens, tailback screens, fullback screens. We have various screens that most schools probably have in their package. And what you might find, the only thing that teams might not run them because they want to save them for district. And we went into the Jamboree not wanting to show various parts of our offense. In fact, we didn't throw the ball as much as I wanted to. We like I said, we concentrated on just running the ball. But those type plays there, you'll evaluate a film and you'll say, well, this is what we're going to do, and well, we can run the reverse this week on these people, or the end is flying, so we can throw a screen to them. And so it's one of those adjustments that you make from week to week.
Your defense looked like it was set up for the linebackers. Michael Miller made quite a few tackles, and a lot of that is set up by your defense maintaining their lanes and letting their offensive linemen block those particular defenders to allow your linebackers to make the tackle. But as you mentioned, on a few occasions, the running back, Lejeune, had some decent long runs. Was that a case of the defense perhaps being a little bit too over-aggressive and getting out of their lanes and then having those linebackers blocked and unable to make the tackles?
Exactly. What happened was the type of defense we play is more of a read type of defense. So what happened was, they were actually zone blocking us sometimes, and our linemen wasn't reacting to that type of block well. And that got our linebackers blocked, and so late in the game our linebackers started running out there, and with Lejeune's ability, he cut back. He's an exceptional back, probably one of the best in the state.
Well, you line up more men defensively on the line, Coach, and the only reason I'm asking that is because your team at times played so well against the run and played exceptional against the pass, and maybe teams might try to exploit your run defense a little bit more. Would you ever think of maybe bringing a couple of more defensive players right to the line of scrimmage?
You will see us at times. We're probably going to be more of a stunting team later on in the year. We have some decent size up front, so that we're going to cause some havoc with people by penetrating with those down linemen and bringing people off the corners and bringing a linebacker. Like I said, we wanted to work on our base things early in the season and work on our base package and see what we can do. If we can run our base defense and stop people, then when we add those other things, it's just going to help us in the long run.
Coach, let's talk about a facet of the game that's so very important. That's special teams, and that was probably the weakness in the Jamboree with the snaps from center on the field goal and a couple of punts. Is that something that you're really working on right now to correct? Because field position can really determine the winner or the loser in a particular ball game.
Each week we've been working on different phases, or each day different phases of the special teams. The special teams are like the offense and defense. They're going to get better with time. We had a problem with the extra point snap because we had a different snapper in the game. Brett Manuel went out. We had another kid snapping. And we corrected that. We worked on that. In fact, we worked on it in Tuesday's practice. But every phase of the game we work on each day, and if we have to put somebody else in there, if somebody's breaking down, we make that adjustment after evaluating the films. And we know that it's a very important phase of the game, and that's the reason why you play the jamborees and stuff and see what you have to improve yourself on for this week.
Now, this first game against Hanson, what do you know about the opponent? I know they played him last year, and I wasn't here last year, and you weren't part of the coaching staff. Is there anything you know about Hanson and what your team can work on in terms of taking advantage of their weaknesses?
Hanson runs the ball real well. They have a real good fullback and a real good quarterback. And our job this week is try to contain that quarterback, keep him in the pocket because he likes to run out. Defensively, they're a very aggressive defense. They like to come off the corners with their ends and so forth. So we have to do a good job of recognizing the defensive fronts and blocking it. And if we do that, I think we'll be all right.
When a team runs a lot, sometimes they tend to wear out the defense, especially if they have some long, sustained drives. Talk about the depth on your team, Coach. Are there a lot of changes you make throughout the course of a game, or will you stick with the starting 11 and maybe bring in 2 or 3 other guys off the bench defensively?
The one thing that we have going for us is we have depth at our offensive and defensive lines, and we have some at our receiving core and our running backs. We have kids playing in various positions in those places, but we should have a rested tailback, fullback, so forth. And I feel comfortable with any changes we have to make on the offensive line. It's a very simple system, but it's a system that the kids were able to pick up and learn, and with time they'll learn it better and better, and we should be successful with it. Like I said, with any change, that there's going to be some questions in the back of their mind. So I feel like we're getting better, and each week if we're getting better, then I'll be happy.
Coach, thanks for joining us, and good luck against Hanson.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it very much.